Throughout modern humanity, civilizations have grown and places have held rank for the largest cities in the world. But recently, there has been a large shift in ranking associated with growing populations in some areas and shrinking ones in other areas. Let's take a look at this trend. In the last 11,000 years, Earth has been transformed by mankind. It all started with the agricultural revolution in different areas worldwide, with the first likely one being in the Fertile Crescent in modern day Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria. Other hearth areas were in Egypt, India, China, and within the New World, including Mesoamerica and South America. When this began, so did a conglomeration of humans. This ultimately led to the very first cities. Uruk is widely regarded as being the first city in the center of the Sumerian civilization. In 3700 BC, Uruk had a population of 25,000, comparable to a moderate sized town today, but large by world standards then. Gradually, more and more cities within ancient civilizations gained population, and by 612 BC, Babylonia hit a population of 200,000. After the year 1 AD, cities within Europe began growing, including Rome, which hit 450,000 in 100 AD. East Asian cities, especially in China, began gaining population, such as Chang'an, now known as Xi'an, reaching 400,000 by 600 AD. Although cities in the first millennium grew, it wasn't until the second millennium when cities started growing rapidly, especially after 1800. The reason why this happened was that the Industrial Revolution fueled rapid development of technology, including medical breakthroughs, which increased life expectancies and the quality of life. From 1800 to 2000, the world population increased from 1 billion to 6 billion people, a 500% increase. In 1775, Beijing was the largest city in the world and was the first city to reach 1 million people, but 50 years later, in 1825, London became the largest city with a population of 1.35 million. From 1825 to 1915, London remained the world's largest city and grew significantly to a population of 7.4 million. But around 10 years later, New York City took the top spot with a population of 7.7 million. New York City remained the largest city in the world until 1965, when Tokyo took the top spot with a population of 15 million people. Today, Tokyo is still the most populated city in the world, with an urban area population of 37.7 million. London today only has 11.2 million. Even though Tokyo is still the king of population, it's not going to be long until it's passed. As reviewed in previous videos, the developed world is mostly comprised of stage 4 nations, which are post-industrial. Demographically, birth rates are low, and death rates are slightly lower, equal, or higher than birth rates, leading to internal population decreases. Pretty much, cities such as Tokyo, Seoul, London, Paris, Rome, and other highly developed European and Japanese and Korean cities are done growing, at least internally. Externally, immigrants and migrants are coming into European cities, thus somewhat increasing the populations. But in Japan and South Korea, this is not happening. According to a couple of population projections, the Tokyo urban area is projected to have 36.57 million people by 2030, down from its current 37.7 million. And sometime in the 2050s, Japan is projected to have less than 100 million people, down from 125 million today. Seoul, South Korea is expected to drop to 7.2 million people by 2050, down from nearly 10 million now. This will happen if birth rates continue to stay lower than death rates and if limited immigration continues. In 2023, the second, third, fourth, and fifth largest urban areas in the world after Tokyo are Jakarta, Indonesia, Delhi, India, Guangzhou, China, and Mumbai, India, respectively. Indonesia and India are stage 3 industrialized nations, while China is in between stage 3 industrializing and stage 4 post-industrial. With this demographical trend, India and Indonesia's internal populations will increase, and this will increase the populations of their cities. Both Mumbai and Jakarta are already in the top 5 ranking of cities and will likely stay there in increasing size. Elsewhere in Asia, Pakistan and Bangladesh, India's western and eastern neighbors, are seeing high internal population increases. Pakistan is a stage 3 industrialized nation, while Bangladesh is a stage 2 transitional nation. Dhaka, Bangladesh, the nation's largest city and capital, is the 9th largest urban area in the world, with 18.7 million people. And Karachi, Pakistan, The nation's largest city is the 12th largest city in the world with 15.7 million people. The trend for both of these cities is upward, and it is likely that they'll remain both in the top most populated cities for the foreseeable future. China has a different demographical situation occurring. Right now, birth rates are slightly higher than death rates, signaling a population increase slowdown. Some projections say that China may lose half their population by 2100. However, contrary to the projections, Chinese cities may grow further, especially the already heavily populated eastern Chinese metropolises. Currently, Guangzhou, on the southeastern coastline, is the fourth largest urban area in the world, and Shanghai, on the eastern coastline further north, is the seventh largest urban area in the world. Economically, the areas of China where these two cities are have high GDPs, per capita incomes, and human development indexes. Thus, these statistics are drawing people from rural central and western China to eastern China. In fact, in the next several decades, a projected 800 million people will migrate to richer eastern China for better economic opportunities, increasing the already crowded cities there. In the Americas, urbanization is a mixed bag. In South America, one nation there has two metropolises in the top 20 of largest cities: Brazil. Sao Paulo is ranked fourth in urban area size, with a little over 23 million residents, while Rio de Janeiro is ranked 19th, with a population of 12.6 million. Brazil just recently entered the stage 4 post-industrial phase of the demographic transition and is starting to see an internal population slowdown. However, since the nation has a fairly high standard of living compared to other South American nations, people from poorer nations are immigrating there, especially from Venezuela, which collapsed economically, and also from poorer nations like Paraguay and Bolivia. So the Brazilian urban populations may continue to rise. Within Mexico and Central America, Mexico City is by far the largest urban area, ranking fifth in the world in population with 21.8 million. Internally, Mexico is a stage 3 industrialized nation, so there is still some internal population growth. But there has been migrants moving northward from Central American nations such as Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Although many are heading to the U.S., some are settling in Mexico City, along with other Mexican cities like Monterrey and Guadalajara. Next, the United States has urban complexities that have demographically changed cities. The three largest urban areas, New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, have fluctuated with population for decades. In the last 3 years, especially since 2020 when the pandemic hit, these cities have lost population. New York, as an example, lost 5.3% of their city proper population, but the urban area population, especially the suburbs in New Jersey, upstate New York, and Long Island, have seen increases. One reason for the decrease in New York City proper was remote work. Many workers started working remotely after March 2020, and even up till now, some are still working that way. Also, companies downsize their office space, and vacancy levels for commercial spaces are higher. Another reason for people leaving is the astronomically high cost of living. In the last couple of years, the average rent prices in New York City increased to $3,400 a month just for a small studio apartment. That means if someone is renting the place alone, nearly $41,000 of their income goes towards that. And if a consumer wants to buy a place, the average price is around $1 million. The same thing is happening in Los Angeles and Chicago, as well as other major U.S. cities. Still, within a short time from now, the population may start increasing again as more people with high-paying jobs go back to in-person work. And many migrants from Mexico, Central and South America, and other areas of the world are arriving in American cities, and this will likely increase the population. Finally, a part of the world that's the most important to substantial urban growth is Africa. Demographically, much of sub-Saharan Africa is comprised of Stage 2 transitional nations with significantly higher birth rates and death rates, contributing to a very large population increase. The largest country in Africa is Nigeria, with nearly 231 million people. Lagos is the largest city in Nigeria and ranked as the 18th largest urban area in the world, with a population of 16.6 million. By 2050, Nigeria is projected to have over 400 million people. This would mean that Lagos would see a rapid urbanization growth rate, possibly propelling it to the top of the urban area population list. Another African country, the Democratic Republic of Congo, also has very high birth rates and low death rates, creating a population increase, and currently the nation has around 112 million people. Its largest city and capital, Kinshasa, is ranked 21st largest urban area in the world with a population of 12.8 million people. Projections show that the Democratic Republic of Congo may have 250 million people by 2050, which would mean Kinshasa would grow and be a contending city for the largest. In fact, the continent of Africa is projected to increase from 1.3 billion now to 2.5 billion by 2050. This could mean that instead of Asia having the most populous cities, Africa will by then. Urbanization growth and shrinkage will happen worldwide. There are many reasons, directly and indirectly, that are creating these trends. These trends are related to demography, and depending on what happens to that human geographical statistic, urban change will continually occur. What do you think? If you'd like to leave an opinion, please do so in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this week's episode. Remember to tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for new full-length episodes, and on Mondays and Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for short videos. Until next time!